Mike Clark from his new album, Blueprints of Jazz, Volume 1. That was one of his great compositions called Loft Funk. Mike Clark has come on the show and talked to us before. We've got him on the phone right now. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Todd?
Doing great, doing great. Glad to have you here. I've been really excited about having you come on the radio show again. You came on last year when Buddy Miles passed away and talked to us about your relationship with Buddy Miles and what Buddy Miles meant to music, and we really appreciate that. But we're really excited about having you come on and talk about Mike Clark. You know, because that you've had such an interesting career, and it continues on. And tell us about the new album. This is doing pretty well for you, yes?
Yeah, this week it was number 8 on the jazz charts.
Well, congratulations.
And,
that's great.
I have rave reviews. I can't believe the reviews. They're all 4.5 and 5 star.
And Downbeat. I saw the Downbeat. It was 4.5 stars, I think. Yeah. That's great.
It's great.
It's a different thing for you than people expect, I think, because it's more of a straight ahead album, right?
Yeah,
an acoustic album.
I've always been like a bebop and post-bop drummer, but that gig with Herbie, we sold 1 million records, and most of my jazz CDs sell a couple of 2,000 or 3,000.
Right.
So it's kind of like if you went to see a Broadway play and you saw Leonard Nimoy, even if he was doing Shakespeare, you go like, "Hey, man, that's Spock."
Right. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And it's certainly nothing to be ashamed of. It's just you sort of get pigeonholed.
Oh yeah. No. I love what I did, and I love what we all did with Herbie. I loved what happened there, but
and so did we.
That's one way of looking at it. And like, you don't eat the same breakfast every morning. I mean, and I live in New York, and I play a lot of jazz gigs here that people don't even hear about.
Right.
So anyway.
Right.
So
how did this come about?
The record?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The CD? A friend of mine called me and said he knew a guy that had a record company that was interested in recording people who had the exact scenario that we were talking about, who were known for one thing but actually had another thing together, or were more interested in another thing, or as interested. So the guy eventually, I said, yeah, have him give me a call. And he called me, and he proposed this deal for Talking House Records. And he said I could choose the band that I want. And I said, well, the main thing for me at this point is I've made a lot of records, and I can do a job making money, but I want to play pretty much the music I want to play. Are you cool with that? And the guy went, absolutely.
That's great.
So I had, so I made it. So it was a great deal from day one. You know what I mean? It just lined up right.
Mm-hmm. And that's probably why it's selling so well too. So because it was just, it continues with that positive momentum.
Yeah, it was a heartfelt thing. It was on the real. It wasn't like, hey, Mike, I have a record date that pays this much, and I want you to play this way and this kind of stuff, which I also, I got to make a living, so
Absolutely.
I'm not down on that. But this was just my own point of view,
So you have a great band on the disc. Tell us about the people in the band.
Well, Patrice Rush and I made a record with Eddie Henderson years ago, and during the breaks or something, we were fooling around and playing some straight ahead, playing tunes and stuff, jazz tunes and standards, just goofing in between the tunes, in between the takes. And so I always wanted to play jazz with her, and this gave me an opportunity to offer her the job, and thank goodness she accepted. She's brilliant. And then also, Christian McBride lived in my building in New York at that time, so I'd see him wheeling out his bass, and he'd see me pushing my drums and stuff, and we kept threatening to play together, so here was an opportunity to make good on it. And, of course, I love the way that guy plays. He can play so strong. He really swings.
Well, I mean, he just plays with everybody. I mean, he's played with Roy Haynes and Sting, so.
Oh, yeah, he could do exactly. He's got a big range. He can get super funky, or he can play jazz as if he doesn't know anything about the electric bass.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he can completely, get lost in the role, if you will. And so I knew I had to have him, and thank goodness he showed up. So then Donald Harrison, the saxophone player, and I are old bandmates. We've been traveling together for 10 years.
He played with the Headhunters, did he not?
Yeah, he plays with the Headhunters.
Mm-hmm.
But him and I also play jazz together in several different projects, and he's played with my organ trio and all kinds of. We've just been hitting it back and forth for years, And I played down there with New Orleans with him. So anyway, Donald also, he just swings so hard, and he's got the blues so deep in his life. I had to have him, and he told me about his nephew, Christian Scott.
Oh, that's his nephew. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
great trumpet player. Yeah.
oh man, he's killing. And then it turns out, check out how all this goes. So you got Christian McBride, who lives next door to me. Donald and I are old friends. Donald's nephew's manager is my old manager. I didn't even know all this. So all of this starts to hook up. The rhythm of this thing starts to come together, and I'm like, oh man, he's Donald's nephew. Anyway, so I called my manager, and he gave me my ex-manager, Ivory Daniel, who is Christian's manager, and he hooked me up with Christian, gave me the number.
Cool.
Christian said, I'd love to do it. And then Jed Levy and I have been playing together since the early 80s in New York. We've done a billion jazz gigs and all kinds of gigs.
Yeah, co-wrote Loft Funk together, yeah.
Yeah, he was on one of my CDs. There's an echo in the phone, so I can't hear actually when you, I can't tell whether it's me or you or something. but I'm trying to give it. Somehow we have an echo here, but I'm still. It's cool. If you're not hearing it, I guess we're okay.
Okay.
Okay, so
I won't talk when you do.
Okay, yeah. Sorry,
I'll shut up.
Tell whether, like I'm hearing what I say after I say it. However, that's it. And we all came together. Had one. We didn't rehearse. We went right to a studio in Oakland. They flew us to a studio in Oakland. And the record company's great. They gave everybody first-class hotels, and they treated us great. Great studio. And we went in and knocked it out in, I would say, a day and a half. And most of those are first or second takes. There wasn't any of them where we labored and went over and over and over it, you know?
Yeah.
So that's it. That's how it came about, and I'm certainly appreciative that it did. I mean, it's really doing good. You know, if you don't mind me saying, on my website, MikeClarkMusic.com, if any of the fans want to go there, that's where all the reviews are, and I'm proud of the reviews. They're pretty killing, you know.
Absolutely, yes. Now let's play another track from the album. Let's play "Past Lives." Tell us about this track.
Okay, a friend of mine, a writer. She does scripts, plays, short stories, music. She just writes whatever, lyrics, everything. Wrote this tune based on a Buddhist principle, and she's also a Buddhist, as I am. And she wrote this tune called "Past Lives" and brought it to me, and it had this kind of Eastern European weird sound to the way the chords were moving and the way the notes were laid out. And it was a perfect opportunity for Christian and I to just kind of freewheel all the way through the thing without upsetting the soloist, really. You know what I mean?
Like Nefertiti, something like that?
Kind of like that. It may be a little more busy, not as much space. I wanted this to be slightly congested. That's not a great word to use, but I wanted it to be busy. I didn't want it to be real open like, say, Clark Kent is. I wanted this one to be, I wanted some contrast on the CD. So Christian and I came up with a scheme to kind of solo, if you will, underneath the soloists, like a running commentary through the whole track. And it was a first take. We did it once, and they were like, let's do it again now that we're getting the feel of it. And I was like, no, we got it right there.
There it is. Well, let's go ahead and play that. And
all right.
And we'll be back in just a second. This is Mike Clark playing something from his new album, Blueprints of Jazz, Volume 1, on The Burnt Toast Show. Mike Clark from his new album, Blueprints of Jazz, Volume 1, and that's a track called "Past Lives." Speaking of past lives, Mike, tell us a little bit about. We got Mike on the phone right now. Tell us a little bit about where you're coming from and how you started out and so on like that. Give us a little history of Mike Clark, if you would, please.
Okay. I was born in Sacramento, California, and my father was a drummer. And he was the kind of guy that quit drumming when he was 19 or 20 and went railroading, but he always had a really great jazz collection. At 3 or 4 years old, he just carried me with him to all the nightclubs when he'd go hear his friends play. Mm-hmm. And there was always a drum set in the house.